So, dear students, I want to continue with the sales contract. And you remember the whole lecture was on critical problems or only circumstances concerning law and rules in international trade. So let's go ahead with the sales contract. And we stopped the last session at Article 5. So I will continue with Article 6, and I will do the critical, from my point of view, critical things in the sales contract. So here in Article 6, 6.1, concerning packing marking, it's stated that the goods shall be properly packed by the seller and necessary measures shall be taken to protect the goods. What do you think about that? Would you say it is okay? Here it's named properly packed and necessary measures. But it's not defined exactly what does it mean. So in case of dispute between the two parties, between X and importer, then you will have perhaps some different interpretation on these two. What does it mean? You cannot be sure that an arbitrator or a judge will really decide in your sense because of possible interpretation. The next 6.2 is, from my point of view, not a very critical one. And if you go ahead to 6.4, that's named wooden materials of packing, and so on, shall be treated by entities qualified to phytosanitary authorities. So you have only to keep your information on that you are really doing that with an authority which is qualified. Which qualification, it's not really named here. More of a critical point would be perhaps, again, Article 7. Remember Article 5, there is the same aspect. Here it's named that 72 hours after loading, you have to give some information by fax. And once again, how to prove that you have sent the fax if the other party doesn't or will not receive the fax because of a shutdown there or whatever, then you can't prove that you have sent the fax by any protocol. Then going to Article 8. Let's look here more exactly on 8.3. If the goods are found defective before the expiration of the warranty period for any reason, including but not limited to latent defect, the buyer, the importer, the Chinese company, has the right to apply to the inspection authorities for an inspection and claim against the seller on the strength of the inspection certificate. So you have to be sure that on the one hand you send the correct goods, which are really in conformity and with a certain guarantee, but you don't know what on the Chinese side will be done, perhaps. That can be, once again, a problem in a case of dispute, and that's what we are looking for. So I go once again a step ahead. 9.1 seller guarantees that the goods shall be advanced in technology and superior in quality. What does that mean? Also here we don't have any norm or any rule or whatever you can have to specify what is advanced in technology or superior in quality. So I would suggest to do that more precisely than it is written here. Article 10. In case the goods does not meet the specification and any other contract requirement for the reason and so on, then the buyer has the right to lodge claims against the seller. Following the remedies. So first, repair or replace or devalue or reject the goods or do a compensation. So is it up to the Chinese company to decide? It seems to. Here also I would suggest to specify in which case you have which chance or which, let's say, decision. Have you ever heard of force majeure? That means you can't influence, also not the buyer, not the seller can't influence. That means because, and you know the situation at the moment, because of war or because of a natural disaster or any other things like that. But it's not a big issue here. But remember my first part of the lecture, arbitration. That can be one of the let's say judges, not a real judge, but an arbitrator who has to decide and to handle the dispute between the two parties. Here the arbitration is named and not a law. Here it's arbitration. And let's have a look on how the arbitration is done in that special case. So it shall be submitted to the China International Economic and Trade Arbitration Commission. Sorry. And is following these rules. So what does that mean for the German exporter? And then additionally, this tribunal shall be composed of 3 arbitrators. 3, that's okay, because then you have in every case a decision and not a pat. Arbitration shall be conducted in accordance with the China International Economic and Trade Arbitration Commission rule. So in a case of dispute, might be that is a big advantage for the Chinese company because there is a decision from the Chinese point of view. Then, only to name an additional aspect, 13.5, you remember my lecture on rules in international trade. Here we have the Incoterms. In that case, the 2010 edition, and for the documentary credit, the rule, or the so-called UCP, Uniforms, Customs and Practices, edition 600. So at least 14.2, buyer agrees seller's potential customers to visit the machine if the agents of the seller need. Okay, the only question, who is paying, who's bearing the cost? So I only made a few suggestions, and what I want to show you with that you can read such a contract with a common sense and make your own thoughts on that. So you have not to be the real expert, but you can really handle such a sales contract, many things, only by using common sense. So many thanks for that part. That has been the last one for laws and rules in international business or international trade. Thank you, and I hope that you have the chance to gain some knowledge. Additional remark, if you have any question, send an email to me. I'll try to answer.